If you get scared easily, I'm warning you, this GTA 5 hidden message may keep you up at night. The Infinity 8 Killer. Rockstar created a story of a murderer that was based off the real-life Zodiac Killer, leaving behind messages for the players to find. Here's how the story goes. In 1999, there was a series of unfortunate events. Merle Abrahams was dealing with some personal issues, and his wife was calling him crazy, so he grabbed his car keys and went out for a late-night drive. When Merle stopped just to clear his mind, he saw a young man jogging. Driving away confused, he saw another young man running. This time, when the runner passed, he got out of his car and struck him 3 times with a bat. Merle drove back home with the young man in his trunk, and when he got home, he threatened his wife to pack her things and leave. From this point on, Merle Abraham's obsession with the number 8 only grew, and every late night he would spend his time waiting in his car for the next runner to run by and become his next victim. The cops say they never found any bodies, but Merle Abraham's was their only suspect. Merle never admitted to any murders, but he wouldn't stop talking about the number 8. Merle was then taken into custody after being the suspected killer, and soon transferred to prison, where he died at the age of 57. But I think he's still alive. Just hear me out until the end. Now when you go to Merle's house, there's something off about the place. It wasn't just abandoned, but it was burnt. His neighbors did this, and they left behind multiple messages on his walls. One saying there will be 8, another saying 8 is just infinity stood up, hinting at the fact there will most likely be more to come. Looking up towards the ceiling, I noticed some shoes hanging. I thought this was odd, so I continued my research further. Just around the block, there's a news article pinned to the wall of a burnt down house. After making out the message, I remembered something. The article says all these young men were killed jogging, and looking back at the shoes hanging, I realized they were running shoes to one of his victims. There's no question Merle Abrahams took the lives of these young men, but in the article it says he never confessed to any murders. Like I said, he was upfront about his obsession with the number 8. Merle didn't want to keep this obsession to himself. Before he found his 8th victim, he took a risk. He wrote a nursery rhyme, exposing what he's done, hoping that someone would catch on and try to stop him. This is what the nursery read.
1 is done, 2 was fun, 3 tried to run, 4 called mom, 5's not alive, 6 is nix, 7's in heaven, 8 won't wait.
Wrote right next to his signature 8s. Remember, no one was ever found, but Merle did leave a note behind inside of jail, exposing where he dropped the bodies off. Where water meets land, and fire once spewed forth, there the infinite 8 shall stay, until I return, with 8s surrounding the message. The symbol he drew is a volcano, and the note hints at an island, which was created by a volcano eruption. You can also find the same drawing in his house. Looking at the drawing, it's clearly this part of the map. After searching all the small islands, I found nothing, but when I searched the water, that's when things got creepy. I didn't find 1 or 2, but all 8 innocent victims, wrapped up and down at the bottom of the ocean. But this is just the story we're told to believe. There's just something telling me this isn't the full story, because I think he's still alive. Merle was sent to jail after being the main suspect, but why was Merle's house burnt down? The story that gets told is that it was his neighbor, but why would they write about the number 8 being infinite? The house being burnt seems like some evidence was trying to be covered up. Let's just say the neighbors really did burn down his house out of spite. Explain why the shoes hanging look brand new. You can tell his house was burnt from top to bottom, but the shoes hanging look like they were hung after the fact. So which came first then? Merle's death or the shoes being hung? Well, if Merle died in jail, it wasn't from age. He was only 57. However, he had the tools to write a message on the wall hinting where his victims were. Now, what if he used the same tools to escape jail and plot his next 8 victims? At first, this may sound crazy, but in his message he wrote on the wall inside of jail, it says, "Until I return," meaning he had a plan to come back. Like I said, the neighbors also wrote about the number 8 being infinite, which is weird because that would mean they knew he was coming back. But if they secretly were in on it, those neighbors would seem least suspicious to help Merle escape from jail because the cops think that they burnt his house down out of spite. This is what I think happened. Merle planned everything out from start to finish. He knew eventually he would be a suspect, so he hid the bodies deep in the coast. Right as he was coming back from dropping off the bodies, the cops showed up and arrested him. This was just what he wanted. Once Merle and the cops leave, the neighbors come along pretending to burn the house down out of hatred. In reality, they do it to burn any leftover evidence. Then he fakes his own death in jail using the same tool which he used to write the message. Then he escapes. He then goes to his house knowing the cops won't suspect him to be there because it's burnt down. Once he gets there, he hangs the shoes up to his new first victim, aka the person he faked his death with. There's been claims people have seen the Infinity 8 killer walking around the map to this day. Like and subscribe if you don't want Merle coming after you next.